I'm developing CS 737. It's a machine learning class, part of this data science program that you've been hearing about. So Gloria Sibrin and I have obviously been talking together, it's again hybrid, so 30 to 50% asynchronous, or at least online. I've been thinking about asynchronous, and and also I have not figured out exactly in that 30 to 50% where I'm going to fall yet. So there's still some to-dos. And because I'm going to be developing lectures, at least that's, or, short vignettes of lectures, I'm now thinking about more of a flipped classroom. Because once you start to deliver material in video form, I think that the students are like, well, why are you just going to sit here and do that same thing in class? So I'm going to think intentionally about what the material is. I selected for the module something that I thought I knew would be not too challenging to get in an asynchronous fashion. And so as I go with the course, I'm going to think about which are some of these harder topics that it would be really important to have questions, in the moment versus ones that they can get elsewhere. So that's kind of my thinking behind the development. But I thought that since this is a machine learning is not a subject that everybody's understands, I'd start with my enduring understanding. So what do I expect them to be able to take away from this course and use 5 years from now? This is a field that is changing incredibly rapidly. So the things that I teach them right now, some of them may be useful, but others of them have not been invented. And so really what they need to take out of this course is how can I teach myself this new information? And so that's what I want to be intentional about. And that also, so we're basically asking the machine to use lots of information to answer a question. And so the machine can look at all this data and we can't. So that's kind of, in essence, one of the differences in why we're using machine to do it rather than a person. It's not that people are really good at it and we've just figured out an algorithm. It's something that we actually can't do. And so then it comes to, all right, so I have this data and I need to ask an interesting question about it. And the role of the data scientist in a business organization is kind of off to the side, trying to look for new opportunities for that business. So you have to be creative and imaginative. And your boss isn't going to say, well, today, here's your to-do list and go and do that. I mean, your goal is to tell your boss, here's something cool that you can do. So, framing questions is really an important skill that the students of this program have to have. And so I think that we need to think, in all of our classes, what are we teaching them to help them get to that goal of, really being able to fulfill this role in the companies. And then there are lots of ethical implications about what they're doing. I mean, privacy is a big one. So there's, Target figures out that you bought birth control and then you bought a pregnancy exam, and so now here's the diaper ad, and you're a teen and your parents don't know and are wondering, why are you getting ads for diapers? So those sorts of things, can cause problems and things that, somebody in this field needs to think about. So here are the essential questions of the course. So everyone really liked the kind of designing backwards understanding by design. It was a nice framework to think about the course. And this is a brand new course for this set of students. I'm taking material from our undergraduate course. So I'm not developing everything from scratch, but definitely putting everything in this online or a hybrid format. So, we're going to talk about different kinds of learning algorithms, again, questioning our, coming up with questions to answer with our data, answering those questions. Part of the difference between the data analyst and the data scientist is that the data analyst is really good at their domain, and the data scientist is really good at the algorithms but doesn't know the domain. So having the skill to be kind of jump around, and what domain is that? How do I learn it? So that's part of this, starting to think about that in this course. All right, so the main features that I've thought about are having lecture videos about our main algorithms and following this by short quizzes that are formative. I've never liked multiple choice quizzes. I think that they're really stupid. But I mean, especially if you have to study for one, but I really can see how listening to 2 to 5 minutes of video and then having a couple questions just so that you recall the important points of that can be really helpful. So I might not, I'm now starting to see the purpose of a multiple choice. In my face-to-face lecture, we're gonna, as I said, look for lectures where there's going to be some discussion or I need to be in the room to ask questions. For the ethical part of it, I thought it could be a really good panel discussion. So bring in some people from industry so that they get a sense of what are the kinds of ethical problems that people in industry have experienced, and then using this pair programming so that they can do some solving and learning how to use the algorithms together. I'm also thinking of having this as a service learning class. So we're going to have a community partner. I'm thinking everybody in the class will have the same community partner. But working on different groups. So there'll be a group element to help manage 25 people with one person. But the projects will be individual. And I'm taking a while, so I thought about community inquiry and how to do the learner to learner, the learner to content, and the learner to teacher. And the one thing that, as I thought about learner to teacher, all of these students will have gone through Sibrin's class, so they're going to be introduced to a lot of the technology. So I think that I want, kind of review sheets, but not mandatory. Let's learn about this to, assume that they've had that. But for me to get to know them rather than doing the introductory voice thread yet again, to have a virtual office hour. So they'll sign up for a time and then we'll have a little bit of face-to-face time. And that way I'll make sure that I talk with every single one of the students. Well, I was done anyway, so didn't really mean to. All right. There we go. So let's move on to my Moodle course. So as you see, it looks similar to what Gloria and Sibrin presented. I wanted to make sure that this first box didn't have too many things in it, and actually what was in it were things that they could use at any time, because if rather than toggling this, I think that there's supposed to be links. Oh, or those have gone away. Oh, we changed it, didn't we?
Because somewhere in the middle of this workshop they changed how it behaves.
Okay. Never mind then. It had been really important, and I was going to show you why, but no longer.
What changed?
So it used to be that the version we had selected were toggle, but you could also click on it to bring it up in a separate page.
Oh.
So if you wanted to do that, and now you can't have both features. So either you can open it up and it's all in one Moodle page, or you can have it, your folders. That this was kind of like the hybrid between your folder view and the toggling thing.
For about a day and a half.
Wait, and then what happened?
And now
It's just
we
not.
can talk about it all. Let's
Yeah.
all finish it.
Okay.
Okay. So, all right. So in any event, that first section are things that, and I'm going to remove the introducing me. I've moved it over here, but I didn't quite get to it. So you can now see my 1-minute introductory video over in my instructor details. And I've also have my virtual office hour published there. And so then I have a big section, the top one, on resources. So so the attendance is just for me, just a place to stick it. I figure tell them about what happens if school is closed, and this is something I do in undergrad classes as well. I always hold class no matter whether we're open or not. And I think Zoom is going to be better. I did Connect this year, but I really like Zoom, so I think that it will even go better. Here's the main VoiceThread page. We've talked about policies, so I haven't gone and got them, but I was going to have the section on policies so that and as a graduate class, I think that it's even more important for them to know where the resources are on campus because they don't generally come here. And then I found a number of ebooks. They're not going to be the text of the course, but I thought that, if they need additional resources, the top ones are more general, the bottom ones kind of more specific about certain topics in the course. I built out this neural networks perceptron module, so I have my learning outcomes for the module. I copied Sibrin with lessons, check your understanding, do it yourself. And I think that, again, the consistency helps the students to navigate. One of the things that I like to have is a homework section, and here's my service learning. So kind of the things to do were in a different area because I found in prior classes that if I buried it in with the lectures, students were always searching my Moodle page for things. And so I don't know if I can have them in both places, if I can put, the homework down in the do it yourself and then use a link so that they can get to it from those two different locations. And I decided that along with the name of my lecture, so this is Camtasia with an interactive quiz at the end, I wanted to tell them how much time that watching this segment of video would take, and just so that they know ahead of time kind of what they're committing to. And I also am doing the you have to complete. So the Perceptron 2.1 is grayed out right now because we haven't taken the quiz and passed it at the level that I said had to be passed. So some of the check boxes you can check yourself, and others of them, I guess I could check that one, but the student's not supposed to be allowed to check that. It's going to be checked automatically. And I also started going through and there's a checkbox on the learning outcome. And so I started to go through and remove checkboxes where it wasn't important so that the student can use the checkboxes to really keep track of where they are in the course. And then I provide my lectures are kind of annotating a framework for notes. And so I have the PDF version because I find that kind of easier to distribute, but I made my Word doc accessible. So this is, I'll show it off. So, there's alt text around this image. And before this was kind of just tabbed over, but it complains about blank spaces. So now this is made in a table. And so all my images here have alt text around them. And I think I left in this one. So this is a floating image and it complains about that, but I really wanted it floating, so I was going to talk to Sue about whether I could. It's just a warning. It's not a failure of accessibility. In any event. Okay, and so then the other thing that I had a little goof on, so I wanted to point this out, was in my video here. I put this on YouTube and did the automatic closed captioning, and that worked really well. But this doesn't have it, so I don't know whether I can get that to
Are you on YouTube? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah,
where.
it should just be a CC there.
Yeah, I
Did
wonder.
you turn it on?
I thought I did. Well, I thought I had tested it last night, and well, maybe I did.
What's the little clock thing? What is that?
Oh,
that's the
rate.
rate.
The gears icon.
It's not usually there.
That
but-
we can use the neuron to learn and make predictions. Let's examine this
Well, we can-
picture of two.
What if you made it full
Each
screen?
neuron consists of 4 main parts. We will start with the soma.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'll have to check into that more. But I did do and it was able to capture all of my voice. I was speaking clearly enough that I didn't have to make any changes to the voice. I did start putting in punctuation. So let's skip ahead, or try to the end. No, I'm not skipping ahead. Oh, that's right. I made it so that you can't skip ahead. So you can prevent the students. So I was like, well, I'll let them rewind a bit, but I'm not going to let them skip the video. And then, so the little purple dot here at the end is my quiz. And so they have to get to the quiz to get credit. I was so brilliant, but a little too early for that. In any event,
Your quiz.
right. So I'll try to talk till we get to that. But so what's important is having the size right. Because the first time I gave the quiz, you couldn't see the right answer. So you got to make sure your quiz is sized so that everything is visible on the screen. So I will pause or. Oh, whoops. All right, we're almost there.
For electrical current
And you include your list.
Right,
Not only are the students going,
We can take the quiz for real.
yeah.
is one decision. If it fires, the
Right,
electrical
it's some
current
hints.
is sent down the axon to its synapse, where other neurons are listening to it.
All right, there we go. All right, so here's the quiz. And you see how it's kind of stretched over the entire video. So if we had been listening, the decision is made in the neuron in the soma. And we get a nice little sound. And then a neuron's decision is to, let's say that we get it wrong. We say it's to send a message. And so right now you're getting to see the right answer. You can eliminate that. So that if you want them to, so if in this one you have to get 2 right in order to get credit, otherwise you have to watch the video again. We'll make sure we get this third one right.
You made that video, darn it.
So if they, I might not want to be giving them the right answer. And where does learning happen? It happens in the synapse. All right, so now we got 2 out of 3 and we can continue. And so now we're done. And when I was checking last night, because I don't know that it's actually going to ungray out because we're not really a student in this course. But at that point, the student should get a check for Perceptron 1 and be able to move on to Perceptron 2.